this kind of ties me quite nicely back in with the concept of peer group, because who you're seen to connect with also has a big influence. You know, what's a big benefit of me being up here on this stage? I get to get associated with the speakers that you've seen up here on the stage, people like Peter Thompson. Now, when I was just getting started out and nobody knew who I was, just being associated, being seen on the same stage with Peter Thompson, do you think that might do a thing or two for your credibility? Yes or no? Of course it will. So how can you associate with people like that? How can you connect with people who are playing at a completely different level? How can you connect with people that have got a completely different caliber? Because a thing that really bugs me is oftentimes when people are in lack or in scarcity mentality, they tend to want to hang on to stuff rather than being open and just letting it go. Because one of the best ways to stimulate referrals is to do a joint venture with somebody. But the challenge is everyone's too busy trying to protect what they think they've got or what they've not got to be open and say, yeah, I'll endorse you, you endorse me. And it's a way of actually getting more sales easily, more sales effortlessly. And the funny thing is, the guys that I would call big players, the people that have got, you know, big mailing lists, etc., they're more open, far more open and easy to get in touch with, are willing to talk to you, willing to work with you, willing to do joint ventures, than the people that are just sort of playing, just kind of getting going. Does that make sense? You'll be surprised. How I built a relationship with Peter Thompson was quite simple. I emailed him. Now, I know that's a radical concept, but I emailed him and said, Peter, can I come down and ask you a few questions? And he said, sure. Why not come down, hang out? We ended up hanging out for a couple of hours. I asked him a load of questions, and by the end of it, I'd gone there to learn from him. He ended up paying me to do some online marketing for him. And all I did was ring him up. And to me, Peter was, you know, this big guru at the time, whereas now, you know, he's a good friend. And equally, you need to seek out that kind of peer group. In fact, let me tell you a little story, which I think you'll find extremely informative and instructive. When I was little, not everybody knows this, but when I was just, I'm still quite little now, but when I was a kid, I used to play squash to quite a high level. In fact, I used to play in competitions, etc., etc. And when I was about 12 or 13, I was trying to get in the county team. And no matter how hard I seemed to try, I could not get into the county team. So I went to my coach. His name was Kirk, which always struck me as being a slightly weird name, but he was a nice guy. And I went to Kirk and I said, why am I struggling to get into the county team? What do I need to do to kind of get to that level? And he said, Dan, here's what I want you to do. For the next month, I want you to go out and I want you to get beaten in every single squash match you play. I said, well, that's clearly the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Why would I want to do that? But then, of course, I got it. The reason why I wasn't advancing, the reason why I wasn't at the level that I wanted to be at, is because I was playing people that it was safe to play with. How many agree with this? Show your hands. I was playing with people that it was safe to play with, and consequently, I wasn't being pushed to stretch and grow. So my standard did not improve. So what he was really saying is, seek out people that are going to absolutely annihilate you, because just by being on court with them will naturally raise your game to the next level. Does just hanging out or playing in this, whether it's squash or whether it's just in business or in life, hanging out with somebody that's got a much considerably higher standard than you have for whatever area of life you're talking about, does just hanging out with those people raise your game, guys? Yes or yes? You cannot help it. It's an automatic response. In fact, you know, this ties into relationship marketing, because not only do you need to be building a relationship with your clients, you also need to be building a relationship of people that you aspire to be with, people that you aspire to hang out with. Okay? I won't tell my full story now, but for those of you that don't know, just a quick taste. My life really changed when I completely changed my peer group. I basically started I started, because I actually went on to become county champion at squash. I actually went on to represent the north of England and playing competitions all around the world, and then I had a few injury problems, and I chose to go in a different direction, because I figured out that squash isn't actually the best paid sport in the world. I went into business. And in my first year in business, I managed to, or a little over a year, 14 months or so, I managed to get myself in personal debt to the tune of £108,000. You know, that takes a special kind of stupid to achieve that level of debt in that space of time. And you know what? Here's the frightening thing. I was frigging good at what I did. I was teaching speed reading in schools, and you know what? I was the 3rd fastest reader in the world. But you know where I was really crappy? I was probably the 3rd worst person in the world when it came to sales and marketing. And it was that pain that drove me to change and learn all this stuff. And what happened was, I got a new mentor. I literally left my family and all my friends in the north of England, and I literally left everything behind, and I moved down to Kent. And my mentor was a guy called Andy Harrington, who's speaking tomorrow afternoon, and he took me under his wing and taught me NLP, but also how to sell and how to market myself. And the most amazing thing is, within 12 months of working with him, I remember I was making more than £8,000 a month. Within 18 months of starting working with him, I was making more than £15,000 a month. And to give you a frame of reference, until that point, I'd never made more than £2,000 a month. And that's what the difference having a higher quality peer group will do for you. And I remember, to me back then at least, £15,000 seemed like so much money it was a joke. How are we doing for time? Ah, yes. Good. Because here's an important concept, and I don't normally go off on a tangent for kind of the psychology stuff, but here's something that I heard just recently that was so profound that it's radically changed the way that I'm thinking about my business entirely. And that's this. The level of thinking that got you to where you're at now will not get you to the level that you want to be at. But who here agrees with that? Show of hands? Yeah, everybody agrees with that concept, but here's a really frightening thing. You ready for this? Get ready to write this down. The level of thinking that got you to where you're at today will actually prevent you from getting to the level you want to be at. The level of thinking, the strategies, the beliefs, the skills that got you to where you're at today will actually prevent you from getting to the next level. Let me tell you what I mean. So in the coaching market, this is the best example. Most people get what they must have in life. True or false? Yeah, true or false? True. This is the interactive bit, guys. True or false? Yeah, people get what they must have. And that's why most people get by. Most people just get by because it was a must for them to have a job, or it was a must for them to pay the mortgage. It was never a must for them to have the financial freedom that they've always craved. So they scrape by. And you know what? Who here in this room is full-time coaching, consulting, or training? Show of hands. Good. Who here in this room is part-time? Show of hands. Okay, good. So if you're full-time, the coaches, etc., that are the average coach might make £20,000 a year. Funnily enough, it's the average wage in the UK. It's just enough to scrape by. But the mentality that creates that is the antithesis of what would create the top 2 or 3% of coaches that are making a 6-figure income on an annual basis. Because the thinking that creates £20,000 a year is going to networking events, it's handing out your business cards, it's doing free coaching sessions to coach people ongoing. Yes or no? Yeah? When actually, the things we're talking about this weekend, all the speakers up here are speakers that are making 6- and 7-figure incomes in this industry. How are they all doing it? Well, you already know. It's products, it's seminars, it's workshops. Again, the real irony is, if you start doing products and seminars and workshops, you'll never have to look for one-on-one clients ever again, because they will come to you in spades. But can you see how it's literally, that is the antithesis of so that's the antithesis of the beliefs that get you as a coach just making by. Does that make sense? Yeah? So most people are too busy, they know that what they're doing doesn't work. They know what you're doing isn't working, and yet they keep doing it.